The CGA Tour, a podcast unlike any other. Now your host, Glen Alexander.
Hey Cowboy fans, today's episode is brought to you by Oakley Burklow, your go-to independent insurance agent and proud OSU alum. Oakley helps with home, auto, life, and business insurance, working with multiple top-rated insurance companies to find you the right coverage at the right price. Licensed in Oklahoma and Arkansas. Call 918-280-9068 or email oakley.burklow@connectmyinsurance.com. Personal service, honest advice, and a fellow poke helping you protect what matters most. Welcome back to the latest episode of the CGA Tour podcast. As always, here I'm your host, Glen Alexander, hence the name there. And tonight I'm joined by fellow members of the College Huddle Network here from the Golden Hurricast, not the Golden Hurricasts because it's singular, which I love to see. I've got Ryan and Matt joining me here from fellow, at one point, Oklahomans or still Oklahomans. What's your guys' kind of background in Tulsa fandom?
Yeah, Calvin, great to see you again. No, neither of us are in Oklahoma anymore. We both were for the longest time. I left for Denver a few years back, and Matt joined me out here in Denver last year. So we're both Denverites or Coloradans, however you want to say it.
So former Oklahomans at one point.
That's right. That's right. Both went to TU. There
we go. Yeah. Well, of course, got a huge game for Oklahoma State coming up here in week 4 of the college football season, as we had a bye week last week, which we somehow won. I don't know how we won the bye week, but we figured it out. And of course, a lot riding on the game for Oklahoma State fans. A lot want to see Gundy gone. There are a lot of implications here of, Gundy's gone if we lose, stuff. But I want to hear, of course, from you guys. What's on the line here for Tulsa? What's going into the game against Tulsa? Of course, the record's 1-2, but what are the other things Oklahoma State fans should know going into this game?
Yeah, it's a huge game. We're sitting here at 1-2 right now. Started the year off with a big win over a pretty solid FCS team in Abilene Christian. They came into the game number 16 in FCS. So that wasn't a joke of a team coming in, and we handled them really well, 35-7 to start it off. And first year for Trey Lamb. And so that was a great way to start it off under Trey's tenure. He's a young guy, 35, tons of energy, lots of intensity. And fans so far, I think, are still very much loving him. The last 2 games haven't gone quite Tulsa's way. We lost a game we absolutely should have won on the road at New Mexico State. That's a game we outgained them. We outplayed them in pretty much every facet of the game. Kind of blew it in a couple key areas of that one and let that one slide away. So 1-1 there. And then last week, unfortunately, got the juggernaut of Navy came to town, and we didn't have much success stopping them. We did early, forced 3 of their first 3 turnovers this year in the first 3 possessions of the game. And so we were up 14-0 early, and then the Navy train rolled right over us, and we had trouble stopping them. So 1-2 sitting here right now, but I think there's still a lot of potential on this team. The team does not seem demoralized whatsoever after those, and this is a big one we got coming up on Friday.
Yeah.
Just to tack it on, Tulsa, we obviously played last year. And that was Oklahoma State's last win of the season, which, you guys blew us out, but I would say this is a very different team, both literally because almost our entire team is from the transfer portal. But also Trey Lamb is a much, I would say exciting is the nicest way to say it. Style of coach compared to Kevin Wilson. Kevin Wilson we got blown out a lot. And so I don't really necessarily see that happening. And so I think that's kind of what we're looking for from the Tulsa side is, can we hang with Oklahoma State? Can we steal a game, which would obviously be super exciting since, we haven't beat the Cowboys since, I think you said 1998 prior to when we started. So that's kind of what I'm looking to see is I'm going to be in Stillwater for this game. Unfortunately, I have to wear orange because I lost a bet, but that's what I want to see. I want to see a competitive game from the Tulsa side.
And Matt mentioned you both mentioned the 98 was last time we got the win, but it's actually 1951 was the last time we got them in Stillwater. So been a long time since we got the road win there. So we'll see.
Yeah, I guess probably won't be rushing the field if you win. That'd be pretty apropos, but I got to imagine there's quite a few taking the Turner Turnpike. What is that, kind of a branded series now? Down. So I mean, gosh, when is that thing going to be paid off? But that's a tangent for another day. I'll be Matt. Love to say hi to you at the game. I'll be there in person too. Of course, Friday night game moved to 6:30, so it gives some people who are traveling a little bit extra time to get there. I assume also Tulsa fans a little bit too. But what are your guys' thoughts as far as like Oklahoma State? I mean, of course, you've been watching or at least heard some of what's going on this season with us, and start out the season 1-1. All right, not too bad. Losing to Oregon, okay, probably knew going in. But the way we lost Oregon, the fact that our starting quarterback, who looked pretty great and kind of a full quarter of one game against an FCS opponent, there's a lot of qualifiers there, of course, with it. Doesn't seem as cool, right? So what are your guys' thoughts on Oklahoma State so far?
Matt, how about you take this one as our resident Oklahoma State connection?
You're wearing orange, you know? I mean, what's the orange tinted glasses telling you right now?
Yeah, so like this is what I'll be wearing to the game. This is actually a Miami hat because it's orange, but it also says hurricane warning. So I was like, this is kind of perfect if I have to wear orange.
Point of clarification: is Miami the Hurricane or the Hurricanes?
They're the Hurricanes, but they have a hat that is hurricane on it. So I was like, that works. If it was Hurricanes, I would absolutely not wear it. That is kind of a sticking point. But no, I being like a little connected to some, I'll say, parts of the Oklahoma State fan base, it really just seems like there's a lot of pessimism, both around, I think, especially how Mike Gundy has kind of been since, late last year, going into this year. Like it seems, especially against the FBS side, because the first game was against an FCS opponent, right?
Yeah,
and I think
Martin. Yeah,
and so it's been what would that be? 9 straight losses to FBS opponents. So I know that like Oklahoma State fans are probably ready to like get rid of that streak and probably want to like demolish Tulsa, and especially I feel a week 3 bye just seems like so early in the season. And I cannot imagine what it was like to just have to like sit and marinate in that loss to Oregon afterwards. But yeah, that's best I can tell is like there's a lot of frustration with the program. And a lot of people are kind of that I've talked to are maybe looking forward to honestly this season being over and like what's next? Like what is Oklahoma State going to do to kind of make that, I don't know, next step as a program? Because it's I think frustrating to probably see all these new schools come into the Big 12 and kind of jump Oklahoma State in the last year. Like OU and Texas leave, and there was a lot of, I imagine, like expectation that Oklahoma State was going to be one of the top teams in this new Big 12 conference, and that is not what's happening. So that's kind of like what the program looks like to me as like an outsider with a little bit of a lens. Is that how you guys are feeling?
Well, and just on the Tulsa side, and I'll pick up the other side of it. I know the players are freaking fired up for this game, as they usually are, right? You get to go play the quote unquote bigger brother up the road here and see how it goes. And we've got a couple players who used to be on Oklahoma State's team. Braylon Presley is still here. He's actually having a better season than he's had in the last couple of years for us. He might be on the verge of maybe a breakout thing happening. And then we got Dom Richardson on the running back side, who is a hammer for us there. He has been the whole load. He's basically the entire running back room so far. So those two guys, I'm sure, are super psyched about this game. And I know the coaching staff they're looking for a break. They know that Tulsa's had been a kind of a losing program the last many years. They're trying to turn this thing around. Trey Lamb has said multiple times that one of the key kind of fulcrum points that you're looking for when you're trying to make a turnaround happen is some kind of game where you maybe shouldn't win, but you pull it off anyway. And like that can change the course of a season. It can change the course of a coaching tenure. It can change the course of a whole program. So they're looking for something like that. I know they've got their eyes locked on Oklahoma State right now, and I hope it happens, of course.
Yeah, I gotta say, I forget if it's Desmond Jackson off the top of my head or Dominic Richardson. I think it's Richardson that we're not a huge fan of. I think he dove at the goal line in the Big 12 championship instead of trying to stick his shoulder through a guy he had 70 pounds on to try to win the Big 12 championship in Arlington in 2021. I was there. It was of course, as painful as you would think. But we won the Fiesta Bowl. We've got a logo too. So anyways, all of that seems like such a distant memory. So it's crazy to think that a guy still in college and not necessarily using a COVID exception rule, but still in college, was playing for Oklahoma State not too long ago. So it'd be fun to see him in Stillwater. Hopefully we can kind of get some, I don't know. I mean, whenever you got transfers out of Oklahoma State, I always wish them well. There's very few guys that have transferred out, I would say, from our program to another program that have done something to raise their brand significantly. I think the one guy right now is Deshaun Stribling for Ole Miss, but Braylon Presley and Desmond Jackson, of course, are pretty incredible. And then this year it's coming around to really bite us is Jaden Nixon down at UCF. That's another story for another day. So, I mean, he's incredible. And it's like, man, if he was on the roster still, but circumstances are what they are. He wasn't going to sit behind Ollie Gordon for a while, which brings me back to here. Ollie Gordon didn't have 100 rushing yards last year when we played. It's a completely different roster, completely different team. This year we bring in, 30 plus transfers, et cetera, et cetera. We've got a bunch of guys who were former 4-stars and South Carolina recruits and University of Texas El Paso transfer. That was incredible on the D line, was really highly touted transfer. But then we lose to Oregon 69-3. And I kind of wonder from your guys' viewpoint, do you think Gundy made a muck of it in the press where Dan Lanning was like, hey, we might beat them by 30, 40, whatever, but now we're going to beat them by 60, right? Like, do you think there was kind of a little bit of your guys is like, yeah, I think that's what happened? Or is this just Oklahoma State is that bad and Oregon is that good? Because Oregon was playing their like backups at some point. So I don't think Lanning didn't have Dante Moore in there until the final minute of the game, right? So it's kind of rough.
Yeah, man. It was I think for sure it was Dan Lanning going for the jugular right there. Like anytime you listen to that guy talk, he is just the most competitive dude ever. Like I don't know. I get the feeling he doesn't want to let stuff like that slide. I don't know what his relationship is with Mike Gundy, if there is one at all prior to those comments or whatever. But man, like, I don't know. I don't love Gundy saying what he said. And so I kind of like that. Maybe I don't mean to piss off all the Oklahoma State fans here, but you're playing the same game. You can pay money to get players these days. It's not a crime. And so to call out another coach for doing that at a high level, is I don't know. I feel like you get what you signed up for there with that one.
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah. So I will say I think Oregon is really good. I think they're, just as good as they were last year, if not better. And I think Gundy has in the past maybe put his foot in his mouth when he's just in some of his conferences. So, I think it's a little bit of A, a little bit of B. Like, I think Oregon is that good, but I think they also came in a little bit more pissed off than, they were against Northwestern this past weekend, where they only put up like 39 points or something like that.
Yeah.
A pedestrian 39 points. Yeah. All right. Well, how do you guys think this game will play out? I mean, there's several things that I'm thinking about. One, Oklahoma State is almost a 2-touchdown favorite as recording right now on Monday, about 12.5 points here. I'm using rounding that has helped me out a lot with that. But I don't see a ton offensively from Oklahoma State. That's what I'm more concerned about, is that the offensive line really hasn't shown a lot of being able to block really a lot of the UT Martin guys and definitely the Oregon guys. So do you guys think, hey, you know what? We just don't know what we're going to get. We don't know if we're going to stay A or B or C or N, right? Like, what game plan is Oklahoma State going to have? There's got to be something different going in. You can't run the same offense you've been running so far, because Zane Flores looks okay when he has time, but did he throw 2 picks against the number 1 team in the country that's won the national championship, or is he going to throw 2 picks against anyone? Is it just kind of he's deer in the headlights back there when any guy gets through? And figure a guy who's been at the program now for his 3rd season would be a little bit better than that. And he's also been heralded as, hey, it's going to be Zane. Like, when he gets the chance, he's incredible. I mean, you got Robert Allen saying the guy's got a lot of zip on the ball. There's all the funny zip guy quotes and Zane train memes over the offseason. And now Haas starts week 1, goes down with the injury. And now we're here of, all right, well, dude just got blown out, So is Oklahoma State going to also now go, hey, you know what? We got to run the same offense we were practicing with Haas because we have to try to do something that we had game planned out for this season? Or do they go back to the conservative kind of play style that they've been doing, which probably won't get Zane injured, but it's not like we don't have any backups behind him. So I'm also not that worried about trying to go out there and put it all on the line, especially when it's a home game against Tulsa. And the next opponent we have after you guys, it comes pretty quickly to what is now looks like a decent Arizona team. Before a Baylor team comes and plays, that looks pretty good too. So what are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, I'll start with just saying I'm bummed that Oklahoma State lost Haas, because what a badass name for your starting quarterback. Hard to beat that. So I feel for you guys, because that had to be kind of fun looking into coming in. But yeah, on the Zane thing, I don't know. I haven't watched a ton of them this year. I don't know what to expect from the offense. You mentioned the offensive line woes for you guys so far. I will say, arguably Tulsa's best position group, certainly best position group on the defense, is our defensive line. And those guys have been getting after it. Jaden Burnett leads the team in sacks. He's got 4 already this year. Byron Turner's got 3. Nakai Johnson's another guy in that line who's really, really good. And they're from Florida State. They're from Pitt. Jaden Burnett's a Louisiana Tech transfer who was kind of an all-conference style guy there. So the defensive line's loaded. And they come after you. They've been really good in every game so far, stopping the run and getting to the quarterback. So that is certainly a key point to watch for. On the flip side, on the offense, I think the key thing to watch for Tulsa is we have yet to make a connection on a long ball. That has been the key point of emphasis for the last 2 weeks now. Still not happening. We took 11 downfield shots against Navy last week, connected on 0 for 11 on deep balls. And it's tough. We got our starting quarterback, Kirk Francis, came in. He got hurt against New Mexico State 2 weeks ago now. I guess, week and a half. And so then you've got a redshirt freshman in Baylor Hayes comes in behind him. A lot of moxie in that kid, big competitor, can do a lot more with his legs than Kirk Francis can, but his deep ball, not yet, is not quite there. So we will see. Everything so far has been a lot of quick stuff, a lot of underneath crossing routes, quick slants, stuff like that. And then the deep balls have been underthrown or just kind of wildly off pace. So got to connect on some of those if we want to have a chance at Oklahoma State. Those have been the main things for me.
Yeah, I'll add, if you look at our, just at the numbers behind it, definitely our passing defense would look on paper to be our strong point, because it's under 200 yards allowed per game. I will say, playing a team like Navy absolutely skews the results very heavily towards making your rush defense look terrible, because Navy can just kind of run over anybody given enough time. It's just kind of a grind you down. And so obviously, and we got a couple picks off them as well. And so I think we're going to, that being said, I would say, I think our passing defense has been better than expected. I think there was a lot of, I don't know if concern but the question mark was kind of at the defensive backs as a position group. But like Ryan said, our line has been so good that we've put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. Not always a sack, but a decent amount of tackles for loss so far already this season. And so that's kind of what I expect to see a lot, is we're going to try and make Oklahoma State's passing game a miserable experience. I would imagine that's the intent.
Well, what are some of the things that maybe you're not the greatest at? I mean, I'm laying out, right, we've got the backup quarterback, we've got some offensive line woes, and doesn't make me feel great as an Oklahoma State fan hearing your defensive line's pretty darn good. But what are some things maybe Oklahoma State fans can go, all right, hey, we should be exploiting these areas of the Tulsa, offense, defense, whatever it may be?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of main ones. One is sort of one I mentioned already. We haven't had the deep ball shot yet. And so, you could probably rush pretty hard, rush Kirk or Baylor, whoever the starting quarterback is. They haven't named who it's going to be. Kirk is going to be reevaluated medically after practice tomorrow, Tuesday. And given how that goes, it's still up in the air. Even if he can play, Trey Lamstead, he's being honest, he doesn't know who the starting quarterback is going to be this Friday, even if Kirk is good to go. So they're going to see how it goes this week. and feel it out. But it could be either Kirk or Baylor. But yeah, the deep ball's got to be there. Like that's been a huge missing piece of the offense so far. And if that is the case and it continues to not be a problem, you can stack the box, stop the run. We've got no offense. All of a sudden, you can rush the passer as much as you want, and we can't answer you. So that would be one thing for sure. The other side, yeah, like the linebackers are good. Like Ray Coney is really good. The safeties are more iffy. I think our pass defense is okay. It's better than we thought it was going to be, like Matt said, but it's still not like they're not some lockdown guys out there. I will say Elijah Green looks great. He's got 3 interceptions already this year. That's all of them for Tulsa. He has all 3 of them. Aside from him, we haven't seen too much, but there's some decent talent back there. But we had real trouble stopping, like New Mexico State's quarterback was passing it all over us a couple weeks back, and that's not a thing you necessarily want to see. Making some crazy plays, but still, like I think the secondary can be picked apart a bit, and if given time. And then, like I said, the deep shot on the offense is not there yet.
I don't know. Is there any way at all? Maybe we establish some offensive game plans here, and we get Zane throwing the deep ball, and Oklahoma State rolls out to barely cover the spread, or what are your guys' predictions on the actual game itself here? Now that we're kind of at it. I mean, I'm hoping we win at the end of the day. That's what I want to happen. But the way I see us winning is probably with a lot of kind of shorter passes and play action, that type of stuff, just because it seems like anyone's able to get to the quarterback. Not necessarily always, but consistently. The Oregon game gives me no confidence at all that our running game is good enough to really do much either. And the passing game, maybe we'll have some of those work out and be really great plays because we'll have more time, because just calling it what it is, Oregon's defensive line is different than Tulsa's defensive line, right? But what do you guys think will happen?
Matt, I just talked for a while. I'll let you start on this one.
Yeah, so just like I'll start with like a gut feeling is I feel like Oklahoma State won't cover, but that's because I feel like this could very much be a low-scoring game, kind of on both sides. Like just what you were saying, it really sounds like the offensive from a passing game perspective is probably similar. Tulsa's probably going to try and push like to get some of those deep shots to connect. Like we've had one that was caught, but it was a penalty because he went out of bounds before catching it. And so it's like the one time we had a decent deep ball that actually was like well thrown and caught, it still didn't count. So, but yeah, so I feel like it's going to be a lot of like short yardage, just chipping away, and that makes for like a lower scoring game, unless somebody can just kind of like break coverage, which absolutely could happen. Ryan said safety position is a little iffy, so if you get a slant across and then you're able to make something happen, I could see that happening. But all in all, I think it's going to be a close game. Tulsa hasn't really shown, other than the first game, that we're going to be a team that puts up a lot of points. We did we're 35, 14, and 23 so far. And so that's just kind of where like I could definitely see Oklahoma State still winning. And obviously they are the favorites, but I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game, nor do I think Oklahoma State's going to be able to like run away in this one like they did last year. I think our defense is a lot better this season than it was last year, just in general. And our offense can at least like, for the most part, maintain possession, and get some points. But yeah, so that's kind of like my just thoughts on the game and the flow. We'll see. It's going to be, I would say, more like, what was it? The 21, like that game was pretty low scoring and is the closest one that Tulsa has been in. So that's kind of what I imagine this week to be more like. I don't think our defense is as good as it was at that time. But that's kind of the style of game that I imagine we'll see on Friday.
Yeah, I have no idea what to expect, to be honest. Like, it could be, I would not be surprised if Tulsa won this game. I would not be surprised if Tulsa got blown out in this one. I know so little about Oregon State, given the 2 games that they've had so far. Like, UT Martin, I would have expected a bigger win. Oregon, I would have expected a smaller loss. But still, like, neither of those teams are like on Oklahoma State's level necessarily. I wish we would have seen 1 or 2 more like Big 12 opponents that are more close to the talent level that Oklahoma State's got rolling this year. to really know what we're up against here. I have no idea. Like, it could just be a bunch of guys who are getting it together and they're going to put it together on Friday. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Like, it could be a talented team and it's just taking some time. At the same time, like, same deal for Tulsa. It's an all new team. We've got, I think the number is 54 new transfers on the team. We try a bunch of wild plays. Like, we last week we did something we hadn't done all season yet. We ran wide receiver out of the Wildcat a few times in Calvin Johnson, and we do a bunch of crazy stuff with Braylon Presley. We try to mix it up, and Baylor can run. If he ends up being the starting quarterback, he can actually run pretty well. Kirk less so. He's more of the kind of accurate short pass guy. Sometimes a deep ball or two, we'll see. But I have no clue. I have no clue what's going to go on. I don't feel confident in this game at all. I'm staying so far away from this betting line, not touching it with a 10-foot ball. No clue what's going to happen. But like I said, I could see it going either way. Obviously, I'm hoping for a Tulsa win. It's been long enough. We're due. Give us one of them. This is I feel like if there was a year that Tulsa was going to pull it off, it's going to be this one, or maybe next year if it's a first-year head coach or something. If Gundy goes the way of the dodo, but we will see. I'm hoping for a win, of course, but I have no clue what to expect.
Well, Ryan, you said something earlier about Gundy's comments to Dan Lanning that I want to come back to. Why did those comments not go over that well with you specifically? Or what do you think Oregon fans kind of saw those as? Because to me, it's like calling it, a pot calling the kettle black, right? Like, we're calling it for what it is. I don't think the way Gundy said it was necessarily too serious when you listen to it, but of course in text it reads not great. No one wants to talk about anyone else's money, and that's kind of my question. Is that more it, or is there something more to it?
That could totally be it. I didn't hear it I didn't see it live. I didn't hear the audio. I read the text, and in the text form, it's like, okay, I see why old Dan Lanning might be a little angsty about this whole thing. And also, he's just kind of an angry guy. Like, he not angry. He looks for ways to get fired up, like, all the time. He's an intense guy, and so he's looking for that kind of thing. My point was, I was not surprised that turned into let's beat down Oklahoma State. If it did, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the mentality from him. From my perspective, I have no idea. I read it. I saw the story. I don't know the details of it. But knowing how Dan Lanning usually talks and the comments he sometimes makes about other coaches, I was not surprised to see him pick that up and try to roll with that.
Yeah, I guess to me, it's more of just Gundy being, I guess, just really ignorant to the situation. Like, you don't do it. There's a couple of things as a college football fan that I would not want my head coach to be doing. I would not want him to own a T-shirt that is controversial to a lot of student athletes' mindsets, right? I just wouldn't want him to own it physically, even if it's sent to him. Wouldn't want it to just be in the closet where on an off day going to Walmart he wore it on accident, right? Like, just wouldn't want it to be in the closet necessarily, especially when a lot of student athletes are probably not going to be big fans of that decision. Definitely wouldn't want him to wear it going fishing and then have a staged photo taken, but that's beside the point. Would also not want him to go and talk about another school and how much money they're making when they are a preseason national championship hopeful, when you're going to have to go there. But also, I think that, like you said, I think if Dan Lanning had gone, guys, Gundy said he hates the color green, we're going to go kill him. Like, you can take anything as bulletin board material.
For sure.
Myself playing like sports, how many times it was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to cross this guy over. I'm 6'3" tall white dude who has no ability to handle the basketball whatsoever, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure this guy looks bad because he said something about something earlier on in the day. I mean, there's just, all that like stuff. So didn't go over well with me, but I'm kind of curious where Oklahoma State will stand in the Big 12 at the end of the day. Like, will Oklahoma State get another win or two on the season after this one? Is this the last chance at like a real win? Because going into the season, Cincinnati homecoming looked real hopeful. The Arizona game, it's like, all right, we should be able to contend with them. It's just not like that K-State game. Great. Can't wait to play them now. But besides them, it's kind of like, will they come down and commiserate with us? Because, like you said earlier, Matt, Oklahoma State's first win over a FBS opponent could be this weekend in quite some time. It's just kind of absurd. But I want to ask, preseason-wise, what is the hope for Tulsa football? Like, before the season started, were you guys thinking, hey, we might be 1-2 going to play Oklahoma State. This is about where we should be. Have your expectations been raised at all? Have they been lowered a little bit with the new head coach and kind of the quarterback injuries and stuff? Or is this a team where it's like, hey, we're just kind of seeing what we got here for now, no expectations?
I mean, I would say expectations were somewhat high but tempered. Obviously, with the new coach, you don't know what you're going to get until you see it on the field. We've seen some encouraging stuff on the field. I know most people would probably say this given a bad loss, but I feel like we really should be 2-1. We shouldn't have lost New Mexico State. The team outplayed them, deserved to win that game, made some stupid mistakes at the end, but that's how the football goes, so we're 1-2. I think if you're sitting here 2-1 with a loss to Navy, we're feeling like on paper that looks way better than 1-2. But coming into the season, I think expectation was let's see some offense, let's see some excitement again, because it had been a while. Like Kevin Wilson, I don't want to talk too much trash on him, but like, man, by the end of the year last year, it was just in the gutter. I mean, we were getting blown out by 30 or 40 every game, like to close out the season. It was probably not the low point in Tulsa football history. There's some contenders for that one, but man, it was close. It was really bad last season. So Trey Lamb coming in, total opposite of Kevin Wilson, 35 years old, super high energy, easy, like intense, fast moving, fast talking, like really cool dude. Incredible golfer. If you haven't seen that, basically a scratch golfer, very fun guy. So like he just brought a lot of youth and energy to the team. The whole rest of the staff is similar. They're all about the same age. They've all got young kids. They're all kind of in the same stage of life, which is really cool. Like the whole vibe around the program is awesome. Really wish we would have beat New Mexico State 2 weeks ago. But still, I think if we can get to 5-6 wins, obviously 6 would be awesome. If we can get to a bowl game in his first year, that would be a hell of a job. I think even getting to 5 or 4 and looking competitive in a lot of games, fans would still be happy with the year 1 with Trey. Obviously, I know they're going for it all and they want to win the conference and all that stuff. But I think fans would be happy with a bowl game or even just getting close to it.
Yeah, I think the difference for this season is, so Kevin Wilson came in 2 years ago and at his intro press conference talked about this isn't a rebuild. Like, I'm here to win. And that was kind of the expectation that I think the fan base had, is Philip Montgomery just couldn't really get us to that next level consistently. We had a good year in 2016. We had a good year during COVID. But it was just too, the program overall was just kind of very average to slightly below average. And then we had the 2 years under Kevin Wilson, and the program is in a much worse place than it was when he started, at least at the end of last year, I'll say. And so I think the expectation coming in for a lot of Tulsa fans is okay, there needs to be some sort of rebuild process. And obviously a rebuild is very different in college football, now than it was even 5 years ago. You can theoretically rebuild your entire program in a single offseason if you just hit the right pieces on the transfer portal. If your NIL is if you have enough to stay competitive. And I think there's a lot of stuff that Tulsa's doing behind the scenes just as an athletic department to kind of make sure that we can be competitive. But with that being said, I don't think, for me personally, I wasn't all right, now we need to make a bowl game. That wasn't my expectation for what I would view as a good season. I just want to be better than we were last year, B, end up being better at the end of the season than we are at the start. I want to see some progression from this young and up and coming coach and team, in my opinion. But it's not necessarily if we don't hit 6 wins, this is a bust of a year. That's a wasted season. I would say maybe year 2, that's where I might be. But this year is I just want to enjoy watching Tulsa football again for the most part. I want to see us win. I absolutely want that. But if we're competitive in all these games and we win 3 and we're okay, every game was, we were in it until garbage time kind of situation. That is an improvement and kind of where would give me some optimism going forward. So that's where I'm at. I agree. I think we should be 2-1. It's kind of frustrating. I chalk it up with very few of these players have played together prior to this season. So there's a lot of growing pains that we're going to see. But I kind of feel like Trey Lamb is the guy to kind of get past those down the road. So that's where I'm at.
I think it sounds kind of fair. I would say personally, if Oklahoma State ends up losing this matchup, I would want Gundy gone by the end of the season. Just because at that point we are, and that's not speak ill on Tulsa as a program, but it is a place where Tulsa is now. We're losing to an in-state team that we've got scheduled out here. I mean, going forward, like I would love to see when we play you guys again, it is Zach Robinson or it is some mythical next guy. I did a podcast last week that was kind of tongue in cheek of John Mateer, who's turning 30, I think today. Being the head coach for Oklahoma State here maybe next year. I mean, there's
Ben Arbuckle.
Oh, gosh. John Mateer, if he could be the head coach, that'd be incredible. But Ben Arbuckle and maybe bring him Mateer. But thank you. There is a lot in me that wants a new regime at Oklahoma State, kind of just bringing in a fresh face, be something new, but also is very understanding that when you do something like that, you have to deal with the consequences of kind of what you guys have just gone through, right? You can have a guy come in the door, say, hey, I'm all about winning here tomorrow, but it just seems like maybe you guys have the guy now who can get you there, right? You guys have somebody at the helm who is doing different play styles. You're seeing a different offense. You're seeing, a wide receiver run the wildcat and do some fun things. Well, we're seeing the halfback drop the middle and we're punting it when we're on Oregon's 40. I mean, it just kind of, when we're already down 13 in the first quarter. And that type of stuff is the stuff where I'm going, it's tough for Oklahoma State fans to kind of, one, take a step back and go, hey, we actually have gone a really, really long way under Gundy, but it's a new era. It's not 5 years ago where the head coach is everything under the sun in terms of how he brings success to the program and what he can do and how he has to build it. It's now he could just kind of just hop in and load up 6 new guys in the transfer portal, and all of a sudden you're off to the races. You could be Kirk Cincinnati, Indiana, if you want to. I mean, you can really be kind of crazy. Alex Golesh at USF, like, what's he doing, after this offseason? I mean, he's probably going to be a guy who's mentioned. Of course, Ben Arbuckle will be a guy that's mentioned by a lot of programs, and would seem kind of insane that if a guy who is 30 years old wouldn't look at some team that's trying to pay him generational wealth. I mean, what he makes now versus what he could make, especially if it's Auburn or another SEC program that doesn't do the greatest this year. And he can kind of all of a sudden compete really well. So there's a lot of me that wants to see Oklahoma State kind of be maybe in, not necessarily directly in the same shoes as you guys, but kind of the similar like mindset of, hey, we're optimistic, but we don't know what we have here right now. And we're hoping. Whereas I'm always trying to be optimistic, always trying to have the orange vision, the orange colored glasses, whatever it may be, but it's a tough time to do that. Really, really tough, especially when it seems like our quarterback won't be back until Cincinnati. And for the life of me, I will not understand why going into week 1, Gundy didn't go, hey, Haas Haney went out the starting role. He's quarterback 1. Why it wasn't just immediately decide. It was just kind of game time, and we learned kind of through social media. Because if you do that, there's a couple things Oklahoma State fans can go, okay, well, if something happens, he gets injured, whatever, we can always say, hey, maybe it was really close in camp. We don't know. But the way it's presented, it's kind of like, oh, maybe it was really close in camp. Maybe Zane was going to start, and we don't know. Maybe this is kind of quarterback 1B, and he should be just as good. When we've seen the other guy play a quarter of football and look excellent against an FCS team. So don't know what we got. But all that to say, I'm excited. Do you guys want to give a score prediction? I've got mine ready if you feel me to go first.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can go for it. I will just add one thing on your points about the coaching differences between Gundy and Dre. And we talked about it a little bit throughout the course of this interview, but he does some wild stuff, man. Like we run some crazy formations that I've never seen before. We talked about some of the plays that he'll draw up. He goes for it on so many 4th downs. I don't know if that's going to tone down ever. Like we've been like middling successful on them, but man, he'll go for it on 4th and 7 from the opposite 40. It's like we'll just rip it. He's a young guy. He doesn't. He's not scared of doing anything. He doesn't care what the blowback is if it doesn't work. He's got more confidence than anybody you'll probably ever see if you watch an interview or two with him. He's a little beat down right now because we just lost 2 in a row. But man, the dude is like. He's on fire all the time. So definitely catch an interview with him if you haven't seen one. He's just a fun guy to listen to, which is like Matt, like we kind of talked to a little bit already. It's just very different than what we had under Kevin Wilson. And even to some extent, Philip Montgomery, he was also could get energetic, but he was more toned down most of the time. And this guy is just he's on one 100% of the time. So yeah, I'll let you give your score prediction while I try to come up with one. But I just wanted to make that point on the two coaches.
He probably also doesn't call your fans poor, or say they shouldn't be able to talk about the team, period, unless they can afford to come to, especially.
We haven't had him. We haven't had him for 21 seasons like you guys have. So give him 20 years. Maybe he'll make some comments like Gundy has. But no, he hasn't said anything like that yet.
Yeah, maybe it's just he's not on a coach's show and an interview during the week and all different stuff. He's not in front of the media as much. Maybe that's a thing we could look at in the background here of getting Gundy out of the media spotlight as much as he is. My score prediction is 29-16 Oklahoma State. I think there's a way Oklahoma State wins, puts up 4-ish plus touchdowns, maybe, kind of couple and some field goals and stuff. It's a weird football score, I know, 29-16, but it's not a scoregami. I did look it up, but it's at least not in college football. It would be a welcomed offensive experience for Oklahoma State after having 3. And also, I will say, losing to Oregon the way you lose to Oregon, you hope that this is the game every single player in the locker room goes, we're not that bad. No, we got to improve our draft stock, player stock, transfer portal stock. We've got to at least go out on a higher note. After that Oregon game, we've got to rebound. If there's any will, motivation, et cetera, all that type of stuff left, this has got to be the game. This can't be the game we quit on like it was last year against K-State or any of the other 9, games I could mention last year. It seemed like we gave up on at some point during the game. So, anyways, 29-16 from the Oklahoma State fan.
Go for it, Matt.
Yeah.
All right. Mine's a little closer. I'm thinking it's going to be a 10-point game. I'm thinking it's going to be like 30-20, something around there. I think in a 30-20 Oklahoma State. Sorry if that's not. I think there's a chance Tulsa could win, but I feel like just based on the last 2 games, I'm not going to say like we're going to have an offensive like explosion of a game. That's just not what I've seen, and we'll see like with the quarterback situation that's still kind of up in the air as of right now. So I feel like I can't even say who's going to be QB1 on Friday night, which makes it tough. So, but I think it'll be a close game until 10 points is I think close. It's Tulsa covers in that situation. And I think it'll be competitive through, 4 quarters. So, and that's what I want to see. Like that is my hope for it at least.
Well, since you guys both went Oklahoma State, I'll be the biased Tulsa podcaster here that takes the other side of it just to give us one, give us one. I don't think, realistically, I think Oklahoma State is more likely to win this game, but there's a chance Tulsa pulls it off. Of course, there's always a chance. So I will take the small chance that it happens. I do think it's going to be close. I'm on the same page as both of you. Like, I haven't seen enough from Tulsa's offense to think we're going to light it up by any stretch. Maybe we'll connect on all the deep balls at once because we haven't hit any really so far, and all of a sudden we got some points on the board, but I wouldn't predict that until having seen otherwise. So, I think a score prediction, I'd go somewhere close with a Tulsa win, 27-24 maybe. Let's go with that. And Tulsa gets the road win against Oklahoma State for the first time in whatever that is, like 70-something years since 1951. So I would love to see it. And I think it's going to be fun. I know the team's, like we said, going to be fired up for this game. They always are. This is one of Tulsa's favorite games of the year now that we got this thing scheduled out for a bunch of years in a row. And, hopefully they can smell some blood in the water with what happened at Oregon and see that there's a chance to beat you guys. And we'll see.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we don't win this one this year, then we'll see you guys right back again next year. We got this scheduled out for quite some time. I personally am also hoping that somehow, some way, it's like a 5-point victory, and this is just 2021 rolling back again, and we can go win a Fiesta Bowl at the end of the season. I know those are really lofty expectations, but everyone always says Gundy's done something crazier. Hey, you can't count him out. You got to be optimistic, all type of stuff. I'm willing to hop with both feet in that boat, but that's only because it's week 4. By week 8, I may not be able to do that anymore. After Oklahoma State's homecoming game last year, I was like, all right, well, just call it 56-14 Arizona State, the team that was picked to finish last in Big 12, ended up beating us on homecoming 56-14. I'm out. Can't do it anymore. They had a 2-hour rain delay where they're sitting in basically like wooden chairs in an unfurnished locker room, etc., and they come back out and only pour it back more on. So, if Arizona State's doing that to us, it seems like we quit. And there's a lot in me that it's hope we'll do a couple more structured different things that I'll get to on either a future podcast or a breakout segment here, because there's a lot more I think Oklahoma State can do to improve from just the AD, just really the AD and the culture side of doing some things ticketing wise alone. I will say Tulsa has a ticket sales team and a corporate partnership sales team that is separate from the university. They hire on. I used to work in ticket sales for the NFL and the MLB and NBA, and I actually interviewed for a couple of different positions with Tulsa. And I'm not taking it because wife would not move out of Oklahoma City. But point being is that Oklahoma State does not do the same type of ticket sales aspects that University of Oklahoma does. They are not outbound calling people to renew their season tickets continuously, and they're really activating that same kind of idea. Of course, OU's been renovating their stadium kind of perpetually every year. Oklahoma State has as well. So I'll go more into that in another episode. But as always, I'll be joining any listener here and watcher. I'll be joining your guys' episode here that you put out and retweeting all type of stuff. So be anxious and looking for that here. I'll put in the description below once it's all good to go. But hey, Ryan and Matt, thanks so much for joining here. And we're recording probably first week of September next year again too, and kind of schedule these things out, as it goes along. So the Turnpike Classic here. Always good catching up with you guys, and appreciate the exceptional audio quality, I will say, on both of your ends. Don't always get that from the podcast guests, so that's pretty great.
Yeah, man. Always fun to come back on. Looking forward to the game. Yeah, we've got this thing for a good while now, so we'll be seeing you in the coming years, I'm sure. But thanks for asking us back on, and it was a blast. All right. Well, thanks so much, Ryan and Matt. Make sure to go check out the Golden Hurricast, especially if you're a college football fan, and especially if you're an Oklahoma State fan looking for maybe more of an optimistic season, ahead of it. It's not like it's going to crash and burn, probably. So thanks again, guys, and we'll catch you guys soon.
Hey, Cowboy fans. Today's episode is brought to you by Oakley Burklow, your go-to independent insurance agent and proud OSU alum. Oakley helps with home, auto, life, and business insurance, working with multiple top-rated insurance companies to find you the right coverage at the right price. Licensed in Oklahoma and Arkansas. Call 918-280-9068 or email oakley.burklow@connectmyinsurance.com. Personal service, honest advice, and a fellow Poke